Yo, so I remember my guy come out telling me Black American chattel slavery was not just for. Yo, so I remember my guy come out telling me Black American chattel slavery was not just for economic reasons. It was for revenge. That's why it was so barbaric. That's why they would do things like eat us, cook us, rape the men and the women and the children and all that crazy shit. And I was like, revenge for what? He was like, well, we ruled Spain. I had to go do my own research. And I was like, okay, the Moors ruled Spain for 800 years, from 711 to 1492. Now, when did Christopher Columbus sail the ocean blue? When did he discover the Americas? Christopher Columbus grew up in a black ruling society. All of the math and the sciences and the religion and the cooking and the food and the knowledge of bathing and more things that the Moors brought to Spain. So this really was revenge. This was really them saying, y'all had your turn, we get it, now watch what we do. And why don't we ever learn that in school? Yo, so I remember my guy come out telling me,
all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rekakwadash. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect, and double honors to the elders of Great Millstone. This is your brother Yakanan from the Sons of Asaph channel, and this lesson is entitled A Perpetual Hatred. And that's what Esau Edom has for Jake. As you just heard from this Jake here, okay, he told you that it was also for revenge. Slavery was also for revenge. And he is correct. Okay? There's a such thing called the Dark Ages. And that's when the so-called Negroes were ruling over there, not only in Spain, but they was ruling a large part of Europe, in large parts of Europe, okay? All right? Britain, Italy, a lot of those lands were ruled by Jake, all right? And they didn't tell us in school about this. They never told us that we were ruling, just like he had said at the end of the video, okay? So let's get into it a little bit, all right? Because it's deeper than that. It's deeper than just knowing that we was ruling. So he put a piece together, but you got to put the whole puzzle together, okay? The Lord set it up for them to have a perpetual hatred against us, okay? The sons of God. They have a perpetual hatred for the sons of God. You have to understand that. There was Adam, okay? Then there was Noah, okay? Then the Lord, we know that from the first born of Adam was Cain, all right? And Cain was of the wicked, okay? Meaning the spirit of Satan was in him, all right? Okay, and he was later regenerated as Esau today, all right, if you don't understand that. Genesis chapter 3 and verses 15. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed, you hear that, seed, sperm, the man, and her seed, okay, the seedling of the woman, which will be Israel, okay, the sons of God. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel, okay, you get that? So what that means is that the Lord will make enemies out of two different seed lines of people from two different fathers, okay? All right? That's what will happen. It's a prophecy. This was a prophecy, okay? So when we go over to Genesis chapter 4, we read the story of Cain. And Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. And she again bare his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. And in the process of time it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. And Abel he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof. And the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering, but unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. And Cain was wroth, very wroth, and his countenance fell. And the Lord said unto Cain, Why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance fallen? And if thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted? And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door, and unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. And Cain talked with Abel his brother. And it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother, and slew him. And the Lord said unto Cain, Where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? So Cain lied to the Most High. Okay? And he said, What hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. And now art thou cursed from the earth, which has opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth. And Cain said unto the Lord, My punishment is greater than I can bear. Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid. So he couldn't connect with the Most High. The Lord stripped him of that connection. And I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth, and it shall come to pass that everyone that findeth me shall slay me. And the Lord Yahweh, in the capital letters, that's what that means, Yahweh, and it's Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, said unto him, Therefore whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And the Lord set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him. And this mark was the stripping of his melanin. Okay? All right? And the Lord did not punish him right away, because the Lord knew that he would be regenerated in the earth. Okay? After the flood, then there came Esau. Okay? So the Lord regenerated Abel and Cain as Jacob and Esau. Okay? And both you learned in Genesis 3:15, there's a perpetual hatred, okay, between the two seed lines. All right, the sons of God and the sons of the wicked. Okay, in which Cain was of the wicked. All right, and then the Lord regenerated Esau and Jacob. All right, let's read the story real quick. Genesis chapter 25 and 21, and it reads, And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife, because she was barren, and the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. And the children struggled together within her, and she said, If it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. Okay, because she was struggling with these twins inside of her body. Okay, they were fighting. Okay, Genesis 3:15, they would have enmity. Okay, the Lord will put enmity between these two seed lines. Verse 23, And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb. You see that? 2 nations of people. Okay, and 2 manner. Okay, 2 different, totally different people. All right, that's how you wonder how this happened. How is it the so-called white man today, is Esau? That's how. 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger. Okay, so the elder, which would be Esau, would serve the younger Jacob. Okay, and when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over like an hairy garment. The so-called white man is not white, okay? They're red, okay? That's the reason why they call them, back in the day, they be in the hot sun when they used to be slave masters. The slaves used to call them rednecks, okay? All right? And the first came out red all over like an hairy garment, and they call his name Esau. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was there 80 old when she bare them. Now, when you look at this, okay, and after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob, and Isaac was 80 old when she bare them. When you go back to Genesis chapter 3 and 15, it speaks about that heel. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed, and it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. Okay, you see that? So the Lord is making a reference here to the two battling it out. Okay, all right. And then when we go here to 2nd Esdras chapter 6 and 7, it tells us, you know, that both of them would have dominion of the earth, and Esau would be the end of the world. Okay, and that's what this means. The heel. Okay, Jacob would pull Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, out of his rulership. All right, spiritually. Okay, 2nd Esdras 6 and verses 7. And then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of times, or when shall be the end of the first, and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born to him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. See, Jacob was the second born. Okay, all right, the heel of Esau. So this is a spiritual prophetic. Okay, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. That's how you get the understanding of that heel, that what's going to go down with that. You know, the Jacob taking a hold of that of the heel of his brother. He's going to pull him down out of rulership. All right, Genesis chapter back to Genesis chapter 25. All right, let's see where I left off at. Okay. All right, so verse 23, and the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb, and the first came out red all over like an hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on the Esau's heel. You see that? And his name was called Jacob, and Isaac was 80 old when she bare them. Okay, so the Lord regenerated Abel and Jacob. Okay, I mean Cain and Abel as Esau and Jacob. And this is not hard. Regeneration and reincarnation is not. That's how the Lord is able to bring back the prophets in the earth today. That's why you're seeing what's happening all over the earth with the men of the Lord on the highways and byways teaching the truth. All right, Hebrew Israelites. That's how you're able to see that, because the Lord regenerated the former prophets back into the earth. Okay, I'll give you one example. Daniel. I always read Daniel chapter 12. All right. Where is it at? Daniel chapter 12. Salakia. Daniel chapter 12 and verses 9. And he said, go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed to the time of the end. You see that? And then we go down to 13, verse 13. But go thou thy way till the end be, for thou shalt rest, Daniel shall die, and stand in thy lot at the end of the days. So the Lord will bring Daniel back. Okay? All right? Even Yahushua spoke of regeneration. I think it's Matthew chapter 11. Matthew chapter 11 Let's see here. Okay. Matthew chapter 11 and verse 13. For all the prophets and the law prophesied until John. And if ye will receive it, he's talking to his disciples. This is Elijah, okay? Elias or Elijah, okay? Which was for to come. He that has ears to hear, let him hear. Whoever can receive it spiritually, that he was the prophet Elijah coming back, okay? John the Baptist. You see that? So even Yahushua spoke of regeneration, reincarnation. So the two boys were regenerated. Cain and Abel were regenerated in the earth after the flood from Jacob. Okay, and it was Esau and Jacob, and they are the progenitors. They become progenitors of the earth. They will be rulers in the earth. So Jacob was ruling in the 1300s. Okay, he was ruling in the 13 up to the 1300s, and that's when he started being taken down by Esau Edom, the so-called white man. All right, in yes, like he said, in revenge, a perpetual hatred, because that's what the Lord said. They will have a perpetual hatred for enmity between each other, Genesis 3 and 15, and they will have a perpetual hatred for one another. All right. All right, let's get that at Ezekiel. All right, so you can understand what's going on here. You know, the Dark Ages were when the so-called Negroes were ruling. That was a time period when the so-called white man was not ruling. All right, the so-called Moors. The Moors were just Negroes. Okay, the so-called Negroes were ruling in Europe. Okay, all right. The so-called white men didn't rise back into power until the 1300s. Okay, and they started taking down the strongholds, the castles over there in Europe and stuff like that from Jacob. You understand? This was all set up in the spirit by Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai. Okay? All right, let's read Revelation chapter 20 real quick. Revelation chapter 20 and verse 1. And I saw an angel come down from heaven having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. All right, this symbolized slavery and being at the bottom, being in hell. And this is the situation. The bottomless pit is Europe. The great chain is Yahweh Shai in the spirit, the angels. And they took hold in verse 2, and he laid hold on the dragon. That's the Roman Empire that the Greco-Romans were ruling in. All right, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan. Okay, the wicked. Okay, the seed line of the wicked. Genesis 3 and 15. The seed of the wicked. It's a people. Okay, it's the Edomites of today. Back in the garden, it was the seed of Cain. Now it's the seed of Esau. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. Didn't he say, the guy here say 800? He said 800 years of rule of the Negroes and Moors, right? It lasted longer than that. It was 1,000 so plus years. All right? That the so-called Negro was ruling in Europe. Yes, indeed. And that's what this is symbolizing. And cast him into the bottomless pit. He cast the so-called white man into the bottomless pit of Europe. Okay? And shut him up and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that, he must be loosed a little season. This little season began in the 1300s. All right, the bubonic plague came through Europe, decimated the so-called Negroes. Right, all right. If you ever heard of that, the bubonic plague took a lot of the so-called Negroes, our people, the Israelites, out, killed them. Right, and they were weakened, and these so-called white people began to take us down. All right. But it was the will of the Most High to bring this forth. All right. So let's go to verses 7. And when the 1,000 years are expired, the 1,000 years of rulership, okay, so-called Negroes, right? Satan shall be loosed out of prison. Not the physical demon Satan, but the wicked, the ones, the seed of the wicked, the seed line of the wicked. Genesis 3:15. They, the people, which would be the Edomites of the day, back in the garden back then, it was identified that Cain was the wicked. Okay, all right. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. And what shall they do? And shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth. All right. So what did they do? They jumped in the ships and came over here to America and began immediately deceiving. They said that they was the so-called gods of the earth. All right. They brought forth Christianity and said white Jesus, brought forth white Jesus, Caesar Borgia. All right. And they took over the earth. They gained the dominion of the earth. Okay. Right. And it is until the great war, which is building now between Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. That's going to be the end of the movie. The Lord flashed forward to the future. Let me read that again. And shall go out to deceive the nations. All right. To deceive the nation with white Jesus, Christianity, a false narrative. All right. They said that Jesus loved everybody and he looks like them. Okay. Which are in the four quarters. That's just a small portion of their deception. They went way farther than that. Which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle. All right. Gog and Magog is the Russians of today, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. That's what's going to be their demise. It's going to be World War III, Armageddon. All right. But the perpetual hatred that went forth is all the way up to this day. Okay. And yes, they had a lot of hatred for us when they sailed the ocean blue in 1492. All right. When they came back into power in the 1300s, they had a lot of anger because we was ruling over them for 1,000 years. All right. And that's the reason why they was doing all kinds of atrocities to us, eating us, hanging us, lynching us, and so forth. All right. And it goes back to Genesis 3:15 again. All right. There was enmity put between the two seed lines that the Lord put on the earth, the sons of God and the sons of the wicked. All right. All right. There's three classes: the sons of God, the sons of the wicked, and the children of men. All right, in the earth. Okay. And the so-called white man is representative of the seed of the wicked. All right. All right. The sons of the wicked. All right. The Lord set it up for them to be the wicked in the earth. All right. And that's how they were able to take peace from the earth through countless wars. All right. So when we go here to, let's see, I think it's Genesis chapter 27 and 37. When you read that about the blessing of the two boys, Jacob and Esau, because they would be the rulers of the earth. All right. The end of the world is going to be, Jacob is going to be ruling, as we read in 2nd Esdras 6 and 7. All right. Let's go to Genesis chapter 27 and 38. All right. This is the blessing. All right. The Lord had passed over Esau, Edom, the firstborn, and given the firstborn rights to Jacob. All right. And let's read that. And Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. That's the so-called white man. And Isaac, his father, answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. All right. They served the brother. He served his brother Jacob, the so-called white man, in Europe for 1,000 years. Okay. After the Roman Empire, the Greco-Roman Empire fell. Okay. After the Greco-Roman Empire fell, the so-called Negroes were able to pretty much take over. They were already ruling in those lands, a lot of those lands. Okay, all right. So let's read that again. Verse 40. No, read 38 again. Let's start over. And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling should be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. And indeed, Esau has the fatness of the earth. They control, they have 270 military bases in 80 countries. They police the whole world. Okay, they gained the whole dominion. All right, and it's about to tell you this here in verse 40. All right, and by this is a part of the blessing that his the forefather Isaac gave to his son Esau. And by thy sword shalt thou live. Okay, they came over here and did what? They conquered the 10 tribes of Israel, the Native Americans, the so-called Hispanic people, the Incas, the Mayans, all of them, everybody here in the Americas, they conquered. They were Israelites. It was the will of the Heavenly Father. All right, they wield the sword today. All right, the so-called white man has a great sword. Okay, nuclear weapons, everything. Right, you got laser weapons. They got machine guns that they can set on the ground and remotely shoot you from afar. They got all this stuff, laser weapons, technology, lasers up in space. I mean, up in the sky where they can burn trees and all that. I mean, yeah, they got everything. The Lord gave them this great sword, okay, to conquer. And they went forth and conquered, you know. That's how they were able to colonize, because the Lord blessed them with the gift of warfare. That's the reason why it's called the Department of War right now. Because they said, screw it. We're just going to just let everybody know who we are. All right. They're the Department of War. The Lord put war in their spirit. Okay. I mean, you can ask most of these white guys out here. They'll tell you their father gave them a gun, or their granddaddy gave them a gun. Yeah, I've been hunting all the time. Man, I'm going on hunting season in November. Why? Because the Lord put that in their spirit. They are the wicked. The Lord gave them the gift of the sword. That was their blessing. The blessing for Jacob was spiritual. All right. Okay. Our people have a connection with the Most High, which is a stronger power. All right. We had who is it? Elijah. He just prayed to the Lord to burn these people up, and the Lord did it. The fire came down from heaven and burnt the people up. That's the power that Jacob has. You see, that's a greater power. All right, not a carnal power. It's a spiritual power. Okay, so this is what the Lord said in Genesis chapter 40, 27:40. I'm trying to get you to paint a picture of who Esau is today by this lesson. And by thy sword shall thou live, and shall serve thy brother. Okay, they served him during the dark ages. All right. Okay, during the time when Jacob was ruling in Europe. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion. They would conquer Jacob in Europe, right? That thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And that's what they did. And once they did that, they gained the dominion of the whole earth. Okay, that's why they can say, you know what, everybody, you got to wear masks. Why? Because they're the rulers of the whole earth. All right, Job 9:24, and it reads, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? So when they came back into power, they covered the faces of the judges. They did not put that in the history books that there was Negroes ruling in Europe. They just said we were just slaves, and they chopped the noses off of the Egyptian statues and they defaced them. See? So Job prophesied that for us to search who covered the faces of the judges, right? The rulers, okay, which is Jacob. You have to understand that. The earth is given to the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? Job is telling you to search for this person. And it's nothing but none other than Esau Edom. He did that. He covered the faces. It's called iconoclasm. All right. They painted over the images in Europe to make you think they was always ruling. Get it? All right. Hopefully you got that. All right. So there was a perpetual hatred from Esau, and it would be between the two boys, Jacob and Esau, right? And it's stems all the way back to the garden, Genesis 3:15 again. All right, and I will put enmity. That would mean they would be enemies between thee and the woman. The woman is Israel. The woman is the children, the sons of God. All right. All right, the serpent seed, which would be Cain. It was a wicked people back then. It wasn't no kind of snake or nothing like that. It was a wicked people, all right, that deceived Eve, all right, with all kind of witchcraft and stuff like that. Gave them, because the serpent means enchanter in the was it the Hebrew? Yeah, so that's what it means, an enchanter. It caused her to start delving into things that the Lord condone, because the Lord is against us being in the witchcraft or anything like that. We don't know exactly what she did, but we know that what the serpent means. It means it's an enchanter. Okay? And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed, sperm, man, okay, and her seed. So it'd be two human beings, two men, all right, that would hate each other, okay. They would have an enmity. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel, all right. And Jacob, when he was born, he had hold onto Esau's heel, okay. Just like we have a hold, the Israelites have a hold on Esau's heel right now. Okay, what do you mean? How is it? Spiritually, because we are revealing them to the world as the devil. All right, let's go to Second Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3. All right, we'll go. All right, yeah, we'll start at 3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. All right, this is Esau Edom. He would be revealed, who opposes and exalted himself above all that is called the Most High, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of the Most High, showing himself that he is God. They have AI now. They have technology. They have the oligarchy all in place right now. They have Peter Thiel in there. All of them are Satanists, all right, and they want to merge man with machine. Okay, they're the ones coming forth with the brain chip, and also they want to enslave everyone with the RFID implant. Okay, remember ye not that when I was, so that would make them gods. You have to understand that. Remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things, and now ye know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time. He might be revealed. Who? Esau. For the mystery of iniquity does already work. They already been wicked. Okay, that's what he's saying. For the mystery of iniquity, sin upon sin, does already work. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way, until Yahweh is allowing him to be the wicked in the earth, until he take him out of the way. Okay, and then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth. The mouthpiece of the Lord is the prophets. Okay, and we're consuming him with the truth. Okay, on the highways and byways. You see that? And shall destroy with the brightness of his coming, because when the Lord is going to return with chariots, it's going to be a awe-inspiring sight. Okay, when the Lord returns into the earth. Okay, but just the understanding is that we would reveal the devil in the earth. Okay, the prophets would, because we are the mouthpiece of the Lord. Let me prove that to you. Hosea chapter 12, verse 10. Okay. All right. I have also spoken by the prophets, and I have multiplied visions and used similitudes by the ministry of the prophets. So the Lord speaks through his men. You see that? Read that again. I have also spoken by the prophets, and I have multiplied visions and used similitudes by the ministry of the prophets. See that? All right. So we are revealing him to the world, and that's the reason why all of this is happening in the earth. Okay? And the reason, like this gentleman is saying here, slavery was revenge. Yeah, it was. Okay? Because they were in bondage under us for 1,000 years. That's why. Okay? So let's go to Ezekiel 35 and 5. They would have a perpetual hatred. All right, all the way back to the garden, 35 and 5. And that's the reason why they're coming down with great wrath right now, because we're at the end. We're at the end of this thing. All right, all hell is going to break loose continually. The Lord is sending forth the plagues in the earth of Egypt. All right, Ezekiel 35 and 5. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of the calamity, in time that their iniquity had an end. Okay, it's talking about Esau. You understand? All right. I'll start up at the top. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, this is Ezekiel 35 and 1. Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir and prophesy against it. Mount Seir was the original inheritance of Esau, Edom. You understand? And say unto it, thus saith the Lord power, behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord. And that's the reason why he's going to destroy America, because America is the capital of the so-called white man. All right, because thou hast had a perpetual this is the reason why he's going to destroy America. All right, and their whole infrastructure, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time that their calamity in the time that their iniquity had an end. Okay, so the Lord is going to bring forth judgment upon Esau, Edom, for what they have done to us. All right, so the vengeance goes both ways. Okay. All right, it goes both ways. Amos chapter 1 and verse 11, and it reads, thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4 I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he did pursue his brother with the sword, and did cast off all pity, and his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever. Okay, so yes, slavery was revenge. Yes, indeed, just like he said in the video. All right, let's see where I was going to go here. Yeah, he kept his wrath forever. Okay. All right. I had another one that just left me just like that. Maybe the Lord bring it back. But yeah, they've had a perpetual hatred for Jacob. All right. That's the reason why we've been going through what we went through. This is a spiritual thing. The Lord allowed two nations to rule the earth. And at the end, the Lord is going to give the world through Yahweh Shai and 144,000, all right, and elect men that'll be elected by the Most High Himself, the earth, and they're going to repopulate the earth, all right, with the Israelites. Okay, So all the unbelievers, they're going to be destroyed. Israelites that don't believe, don't come into this thing. And the other nations, they're going into captivity. And there's nothing you can do about it. Just like we were in captivity unto unto them, they're gonna be in captivity unto us. That's true justice, don't you think? I mean, all the lynching, the hanging, and all that. All right, yeah, it's gonna reverse. All right, Jeremiah 30 and verse 16. All right. Therefore, all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thine adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity. And they that spoil thee, they spoiled us. Okay, I mean, there was some wealthy people over there in Europe, and they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. For I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of thy wounds, saith the Lord, because they called thee an outcast, saying, This is Zion, whom no man seeketh after. You see that? All right, so the Lord is going to restore Jacob's tents. The Lord set this up, all right, for them to bring vengeance upon us. Okay, the Lord used them as a sword against us. He gave them the sword of war. Okay. Let's go to Revelation chapter 6 and 4. It tells us, all right, and there went out another horse that was red. Esau is not white, he is red. His people are red. Okay, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth. Okay, how did they do that? They waged countless wars. Okay, and that they should kill one another. A lot of the wars were against themselves. You see that? And there was given unto him a people, him. Okay, you see that? A great sword. All right. They were given the Lord blessed them with the nuclear weapon technology. Now they got AI, all of that. All right. And they're coming down with great wrath and revealing themselves to be the devil. Whether you guys believe it or not. Look around you. Who are they trying to enslave? I mean, who are they trying to come against? I mean, literally. All right. Brown people. The 12 tribes of Israel. That's who they coming after. Revelation 12 and 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. For the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath. Why? Because he knoweth that he has but a short time. Now, after all what I told you, I told you that Jacob was ruling. He was taken out of power. You put 2 plus 2. Who's going to get taken out of power this time? Esau. Okay? That's how it works. That's how it's going to go down. The Lord is going to give the earth, the whole earth, dominion, rulership to the Israelites. All right? That's what this Bible is all about. Romans chapter 9. This is the scripture that the Christians, they don't even read it. Romans, it solves the whole puzzle. Chapter 9 and 3. For I could wish that myself were accursed from the Mashiach for my brethren, my kinsmen, according to the flesh, who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption, and the glory, and the covenants, and the giving of the law, and the service of the Most High, and the promises, everlasting life. All right? Whose are the fathers, the seed line? Whose are the fathers, the seed line, and of whom, as concerning the flesh, the Mashiach came. He came for them, the Israelites, not everybody else. Who is over all, God bless forever, all man. So you see that? The Lord came for the Israelites. These other nations going into captivity. They put us into captivity. The only way they were able to do that is because the Lord was angry with us. All right? And therefore, he used Esau as a sword against us. Psalm 17 and verse 13. Right? Psalm 17 and 13. All right, we'll go at 8. We'll start at 8. Psalm 17 and 8. Keep me as an apple of the eye. Hide me under the shadow of thy wings from the wicked that oppress me, from my deadly enemies who compass me about. This is the prayer of King David. They are enclosed in their fat. With their mouth they speak proudly. Make America great again. They have now compassed us in our steps. They have set their eyes bowing down to the earth. Like as a lion that is greedy for his prey, and as it were a young lion lurking in the secret places. Verse 13. Arise, O Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahshai. Disappoint him. Cast him down. Deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. So you see that? The sword was given to Esau Edom. All right? He was given a great sword. They are the sword of war in the earth. Hopefully you can see that now. All right? All right, General, I forgot what was his name, Wesley Clark. He said in 2007, they had a plan, the U.S. Army were going to conquer 7 oil-rich nations. All right? Okay? 7 oil-rich nations. And what they got Iraq, we both know that, right? And now they have who surrounded? Venezuela. They have the most oil in the world in Venezuela. You see? Why? Because they're warmongers. That's who they are. They're the sword of the Lord. And they're using that sword now. They're saying, screw it. You know what? We're just going to take over everybody. We're not going to fall. You know? But it's the will of the Lord to bring Babylon down. All right? Nations only last 250 years, and we're at 249. So it's over, man. All right? Serve the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Okay? All right? Let me play this video again. Let me see here.
Remember my guy come out telling me Black American chattel slavery was not just for... So I remember my guy come out telling me Black American chattel slavery was not just for economic reasons. It was for revenge. That's why it was so barbaric. That's why they would do things like eat us, cook us, rape the men and the women and the children and all that crazy shit. And I was like, revenge for what? He was like, well, we ruled Spain. I had to go do my own research. And I was like, okay, the Moors ruled Spain for 800 years, from 711 to 1492. Now, when did Christopher Columbus sail the ocean blue? When did he discover the Americas? Christopher Columbus grew up in a black ruling society. All of the math and the sciences and the religion and the cooking and the food and the knowledge of bathing and more things that the Moors brought to Spain. So this really was revenge. This was really them saying, y'all had your turn. We get it. Now watch what we do. And why don't we ever learn that in school? Yo, sir.
And there you have it. Okay? The Lord set this up in the spirit. Okay? A perpetual hatred between Jacob and Esau. Okay? The 2 seed lines. They will have enmity between each other. Genesis 3 and 15. All right? All right? The Lord pointed out it would be 2 seed lines that would have enmity between each other. That means they would be enemies of each other. You understand? Okay? And the Lord is going to give the kingdom of heaven to Jacob. This is it. That's what this is all about. That's why they're coming down with great wrath, Revelation 12 and 12. Because they know they have a short time. Okay? And they want to set up this AI and enslave everybody. Okay? All right? They want to implant everybody with the RFID implant in your hand. All right? They're going to come with the digital ID. They're coming. This is a global event. They've all decided to do this. Okay? All right? 2nd Esdras 6 and 7. Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of times? Or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, When Jacob and Esau were born to him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau, for Esau is the end of the world, okay? And Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So I hope you wrote, if you can rewind this video, write down these scriptures, all right, and be able to understand what's getting ready to take place, okay? It's a transition of power that the Lord is talking about here. It's a transition of power. It's going to go from, rulership is going to transfer from Esau to Jacob, the 12 tribes of Israel.